Good morning, everybody. Good to be with you on a Sunday morning. We are on day 11 of the 12 days of gaming. Welcome on in. My name is Jay. Perfect. There we go. Good to see all of you. How was your Saturday night? Anybody get up to anything super fun? No, it was couch time here. We were just lying on the couch watching some old YouTube videos. We watched Christmas Vacation, which is usually the first one, and then followed by Scrooge. Then we get into A Christmas Story, which we have not watched yet. It's been a few years since I've seen my favorite one. So looking forward to doing that tonight. Good morning, Cutthroat Comics. What are you going on about? Good morning, Legends Club. The evil elves have struck again, but this time they've taken Jay Bartlett's Nintendo Power magazines for money. That's what they call a crime, my friend. So you'll be hearing from the authorities. Good morning, Matt Rubin. I'm surprised no Retro Mags link. Oh, but if you'll check, there is a link in the description because you wrote that and I forgot, so it's there now. So thanks for that. Den of Geek. Good morning. It is the Sunday before Christmas, and since we're going through our journey reading through all the electronic gaming monthlies, this was actually an idea from Den of Geek where we should go through maybe one of the buyer's guides. And this kind of coincides with the end of the year where we are now in the read through. So we're into almost the end of 1992. So, of course, we're going to read the end of 1992 and a buyer's guide from EGM, which we previously haven't done yet, which they will name their game of the year and talk about very important games from that year, games that you should purchase and maybe some games you should kind of avoid. So there you go. Zero, good morning. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're having a good holiday season so far. Oops, we got to add that. Let's add that. Actually, we got to do the sponsor first. Okay, so we're going to do a sponsor plug here from the game store, and then we're going to get into Electronic Gaming Monthly Buyer's Guide for 1993. The store is the hottest new online gaming store, hitting just in time for the holiday season. You can find their insane selection of miniature games, collectible card games, and board games at thegamestore.com. Currently, they're pushing their huge campaign on filling half their store with video games. And that means they are buying video games like crazy. Now, if you can't make it to their brick and mortar store, you can sell your games online with 3 easy steps. Step number 1, send a list of the games you wish to sell at sales@thegamestore.com. Make sure you add if they're complete, working, non-working, or minty fresh. 2, you will receive a preliminary offer back that may change depending on further inspection. Once you have the offer, it's good for 3 days. All you have to do is reply back and accept it. Step 3. Finally, the game store will send you a prepaid label that you print out and you just ship your games to them. Upon inspection, verification, and acceptance of the price, they will send you the money any way you choose. Now that can be cash, check, PayPal, bottle caps, any way you choose. Get in on the ground floor and sell your games that are just sitting there collecting dust. And just remember, wherever you are, wherever you play, everyone shops at the game store. Indeed, they do. So check out thegamestore.com, probably the easiest web address that you can ever remember. It's thegamestore.com. Again, you don't even have to leave your house for it. Ship your games off. Our second sponsor, of course, is Game Cycle here on Warncliffe Road. There are 2 game cycles. It's the one on Warncliffe. And today's game in the 12 days of gaming is Neo 2. I think I pronounced that right. Right there. So we're going to be giving a copy of this one away. And that means that there's only one more left after this, which will be tomorrow's Mega Man 2 playthrough, live stream, whatever you want to call it. So stay tuned for that later in the show today. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to Electronic Gaming Monthly. There it is, the 1993 Video Game Buyer's Guide. Good morning, Mo. And yeah, I forgot about that, Zero. I forgot that you were down and out. So sorry, buddy. Bat Stan is here with the Christmas cheer. Good morning, my friend. Mega Man 2 is awesome. Indeed. It is very awesome. So we're going to play that tomorrow, have some fun with Mega Man 2. All right, let's crack into this. We got lots to cover here. I wonder what they're going to give the game of the year. Does anybody have any predictions? I wonder what EGM will say is the game of the year. You want to be on the stream for the heavy lifting? Oh, sure, yeah. We could do that. My bad, buddy. Let's get Den in here. I forgot, man. My mind is cooked from doing this for like 12 days straight. There you go. Boom, whenever you're set, come on in. Okay, we'll close that up. Perfect. There we go. So we'll get Den of Geek in here shortly. So here's the table of contents. Again, we have the future, which is the CD-ROM, the virtual graphics, whatever you would call them, full motion video. That is the way of the future. More Street Fighter 2 goodness. Then we have the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, the two heavyweights reviewed by the staff. That's what I'm most excited about. And then we go further, check out our fact file on many great carts from 1992, including Turtles 4, walkthrough for Contra 3. This is going to be great. It's going to be great, guys. Really looking forward to this one. We've talked a lot about NHL 93. We've talked a lot about the NHL series in general. How much I'm a fan of the early stuff, and I really love these early EA ads right here. This is cool. Now, 93, of course, is the NHLPA. So that is the Players Association, which you can see the players here. The goalie, I don't know what team that is, the Rangers maybe. But we can see that there is no logo, which I think, I would really rather have the actual NHL teams and then just the number. You know what I mean? Because then you know who the player is and not necessarily have to worry about that. But as we can see, as we go forward into NHL 94, we definitely have the both of those together. Then it's kind of like we don't look back. You know what I mean? Future is now, Mo. The future is now. There better be some TurboGrafx ads. You're making a lot of demands today, mister. A lot of demands. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in one of our dear friends and one of the mods of my channel. Let's bring in the Den of Geek. There he is.
Good morning, legends.
Good to have you here. Oops, I shut that down.
Yeah, I figured your mind was kind of fried from the.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate you popping in. I forgot. And that's no offense to you. I just forgot.
No, I mean, you've been doing this for so long. I'm surprised you're able to do this like in a row.
Hey, I take inspiration from our buddy Will. If Will can do it, I can pull it off too, right? So
yeah.
Okay, so here we are. Any predictions, Dan, on what the game of the year is going to be? Come on.
Not really. I mean, I haven't really seen anything they've been talking about a lot in 1992.
Well, I think it's going to be Street Fighter and Super Nintendo, just because it's been on the cover of like so many of the issues that we've read.
Yeah.
I have no doubt it's going to be that.
I have no doubt it'll be Street Fighter 2. In 1992, that was my game of the year.
Like maybe Zelda, Link to the Past, but I doubt that very much. Everybody, there's 15 of you. Welcome on in. Grab a seat, grab a cup of coffee or whatever you're having here. Look at this guy. Hey, yo. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Chad and I will be doing a couple streams, one on his channel on Christmas Day, and then we're going to be flipping on over with the community and doing some Fortnite. So Christmas evening around 5 Eastern, we're going to be on Chad's, and then back to my channel for 7. It's going to be a fun day. All right, let's get into the 1992 year in review. Okay, let's get to you guys first. Again, if there's anything that piques your interest here in the pages of EGM, make sure you just shout it out in the chat so we can start discussing it. What are some of your favorite memories in general of 1992? And I'm going to ask you that, Den. What are some of your favorites in general from the year 1992? Not to put you on the spot.
92.
Well, Batman Returns came out in 1992. We all remember that.
Yeah, I actually saw that on a road trip with my dad, which was, we went down to the States, which was very uncommon for us because we live like 6 hours from the border. And it is still, I know you're going to say this, it's still one of the movies I watch at Christmas. I know it's not a Christmas movie in the strictest terms, but I watch it around the holidays every year just to remember that road trip.
I am not judge and jury for what is a Christmas movie. I can only give my personal opinion. So, man, if you watch Batman Returns and it reminds you of Christmas, it gives you those feelings, then who am I to say? I think that's great. Dan, good morning. Good to see you.
Hey, Dan.
Okay, year in review, 1992. I remember some of the great music.
Oh, yes. The music was amazing. That was the year I discovered Pearl Jam.
Yep. Grunge was in full swing. My first two CDs were Pearl Jam 10 and Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, both from 91. But the grunge eruption kind of happened in 92. So that's, just so much good. So many amazing movies. And I think Reservoir Dogs was 91 or 92. Kind of Tarantino's debut and changing the landscape of how films were made. You know, he sold his script for True Romance, and then basically that helped him fund a version of Reservoir Dogs. And then the script itself for that was so great. He had some big investors come in, and the rest is history. There you go.
Yeah. Then a legend of filmmaking was created.
Exactly. All right. This is from Ed. So Ed taking over the duties again. As another year draws to a close, it is interesting to look back at the last 12. Is this cut off for you too?
Yeah.
The last 12, whatever issues.
12 issues.
Oh, 12 issues of this year, just to see how things have changed in the gaming industry. Last year, we were talking about how the 16-bit video game war was going to really heat up in 1992. And also, this was the year of the CD. Well, one out of two things ain't bad. Nintendo last year had problems. Their 8-bit system was rapidly losing popularity with the game players, and their new 16-bit Nintendo looked great on paper, but just couldn't deliver when it came to good software. Yeah, I don't remember that. I remember the Super Nintendo coming out and it being absolutely incredible.
Maybe I'm looking at it back through like rose-tinted glasses.
I don't know.
Looking back at it like, hey, this was an awesome console. Because I know all my friends and I wanted one.
Sega, on the other hand, was riding high on the hedgehog and couldn't get their system to the stores fast enough to satisfy demand because, thanks to Tom Kalinske, former Mattel head who is now in charge of Sega, he made the brilliant decision of taking Altered Beast out of the pack-in and making it Sonic the Hedgehog. That was a brilliant move. That certainly helped. Now it is Christmas 1992, ladies and gentlemen, and Nintendo is looking good. Their game programmers have been able to solve much of the slowdown and flicker problems that plagued the Super NES last year. And there is a wide variety of new and innovative software to satisfy nearly everybody's interests. You name the game genre, whether it be RPG, action, adventure, quest, sports, or puzzle, you'll find half a dozen good games in each category. Not bad for 1 year's work, Dan. I tag you in.
All right. Yeah, 1 year, and that's a lot of games. On the other hand, Sega hasn't been sitting idle doing nothing. As the Christmas shopping season approaches, there will be new games to keep the Genesis players rocking. The long-awaited Sonic 2 is out, as are Streets of Rage 2, and a new batch of sports games. Unfortunately, the Sega lineup of new carts just isn't as deep as what will be out for the Super Nintendo. A new RPG, like the next edition of Phantasy Star series, is really needed as is a new Quest game. Sega does have the quantity, though. What a library! With a library that numbers over 300 carts, the new system owners will have quite a selection to choose from. Who will be the big winner in 1992? It's going to be close system-wise. Nintendo is rapidly catching up with Sega, and they're going into Christmas with a larger list of must-have games. In addition, even though the Super NES processes data much slower than the Genesis, just having the ability to do hardware rotation and scaling is a Super NES feature that is sorely missing on the Genesis. Even technology-wise, Nintendo is proving to be a leader with their new FX chip. Promises to add 3D realism to cartridge-based games. And of course, there is one game that everybody wants, but is only out for the Super Nintendo. Street Fighter 2. Then who gets the EGM System of the Year? You haven't guessed it yet. Turn to our awards section, starting on page 28. The other item we were hot on last year was CD-ROM. Tons of memory, full motion video, and CD quality audio. Really had us excited. Although Sega was making big promises, they soon realized that good CD games take time to produce, a lot of time. Well, 1992 is almost over, and instead of Sega bringing out 25 plus games with the system, they're now down to only a handful. Oh well, there's always next year.
And thank you, Ed, for the editorial. Cutthroat says Super Nintendo is so much better than Sega. Why is that? Just curious. Super Nintendo. You're not right or wrong. I'm just curious why you have that opinion. HEC is here. What's up, buddy? Good morning. Happy Sunday. Okay, moving on. So our game awards are going to be on page 28 for those who are reading along. Graphics are identical, Cutthroat. The difference would be the color palette. There you go. Well, look at that. I guess they just blow their load right away. EGM's Best and Worst of 1992, the video game of the year, ladies and gentlemen. Not too surprised. Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior, the home port for the Super Nintendo. I predicted it. It's on the TV here. But we are on day 11, and we're giving away Neo 2 for the PS4. Close to the end of the show, HEC. Yeah. Day 11. Dan, any surprises here with the game of the year?
Not really. I remember my friend got Street Fighter 2 for Christmas of 92. And I think we spent the next year just playing Street Fighter 2 on his SNES.
Yeah. Of course, Genesis would fire back with Champion Edition.
Yep.
To my knowledge, and we're going to get there in the reads, but to my knowledge, it didn't have nearly the same impact. I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
But I don't remember people running out to buy a Genesis just to play the 4 boss characters. Now, I could be incorrect. That's just from my memory. I remember like when the World Warrior came out for the first time, that was just huge.
Yeah. I remember, I know some people went out and got a Genesis for that.
Interesting, yeah.
But not a lot of them. For us, it was just the huge hype of being able to play that arcade game on Super Nintendo in our own homes.
Right. And there it is. Best game of the year on all systems was Capcom's Street Fighter 2. It doesn't come as much of a surprise as to which game would win this award. Never has a game taken the country and the EGM editors by storm as this one has. With over 750,000 copies sold in the U.S. between July 15th and September 30th, and a whopping, what is that, 4 million?
Yeah.
4 million copies. You could tell I never have a lot of money in GTA online, by the way. Just telling you right now, by the way. I thought that was 400,000 at first. And a whopping 4 million copies of this supercard sold worldwide. Street Fighter 2 easily won this coveted prize, hands down. And the excitement doesn't end with just the game. Capcom states that they have a Saturday morning cartoon series, a major motion picture, a comic book scheduled to hit the stores in late spring, a line of clothes, and several action toys. Come on, guys. First, we got figurines, and then we got action toys. Action figures. Let's go. Come on.
It's not that difficult a word to learn, folks.
I know. And works for the Street Fighter fanatics to enjoy throughout the year of 1993. Best of all, there appears to be no end in sight for the phenomenon. Possibly what makes this game popular, though, is the fact that it's much more than just another fighting game. Based on the #1 arcade super hit, the game screams technique, which is really great. Though it's a fact that anybody can play the game, which is true. I remember, guys, that this brought in so many people that were not fighting game fans. Me being one of them. Like, I liked Final Fight, but I mean, that's a brawler. That's not really a one-on-one fighter, right? So this definitely brought me into. With 7 levels of difficulty, even a novice. Oh my god, it had 7 levels. That's brilliant. Even a novice can fare against the machine. In addition, where the real fun occurs, players can choose the versus option. In this mode, you can take on a friend, and then the action becomes nonstop. With tons of different moves, combos, and cheap shots, no 2 games are ever played the same. A very versatile game.
Yeah, and it really was. I didn't realize there were 7 levels of difficulty.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Welcome on in. We got P90 fresh off your stream. I'm sorry I missed it, buddy. Couldn't make this one, but good to have you here. Hope it went well. And we got Raj, the J, the A, the Y. It's the legend, the champion, the conqueror. It's Jay. Well, I never saw myself much of a Conan, but hey, man, I'll take it. I'll take it. Then we have the best game of the year for the Super Nintendo. We're going to pass that off to Den of Geek here. Once again, no surprise, it is Street Fighter 2.
Yeah. I mean, how many issues did they talk about this in? Pretty much all 12.
Yeah, so the first game of the year, guys, was for all consoles. And then now we're into Super Nintendo, which obviously it's the same, but
yeah,
another little
not a whole lot of competition here. Again, no other company has been able to produce a game that generates this level of excitement among all the game players, no matter what country they're from and what system they own. As such, it's not surprising that this 16 meg wonder is one of the pack-in carts with the Super Nintendo in England. Good job, Capcom. Now, how about the Championship Edition for spring?
And we're moving on to the best game of the year for the Sega Genesis, which was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, we do have to say before we go any further, in the bottom right here, we have about the awards, which I think is important to read. For a product to be considered for an award, that item had to appear in the store sometime during the 1992 calendar year. In case of a last-minute prototype game submissions, each company had to guarantee that the product would appear in the stores by January 1993. I mean, and that's something we were talking about with the current game awards in the year 2024, how I don't think it's fair. So we had Marvel Rivals excluded from that and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle excluded from that because they were released in September, which doesn't really make a lot of sense.
No.
The Game Awards should be in January, and then that way you have a 12 full month calendar year.
Yeah, honestly, I completely agree with that. Because then you can look at next year. Okay, starting in January, we're looking for this next year.
P90 says, I did the ultimate challenge as a kid. I beat level 7 with all characters. It was nuts. Beating the game with Dulcim on level 7 was so hard. Zangief also. Oh, dude, good for you.
That's quite a challenge.
I don't know if you saw my comment. I popped in real quick. P90. I said I played Ninja Gaiden on Sega Master System, and it's awful. Don't waste your time. It's not. It's not done by Tecmo.
Oh,
So, yeah. So game of the year for Genesis was Sonic 2. Sega's famous mascot Sonic the Hedgehog is back in his second visit to the Genesis, and this version is hot. With 8 megabytes of memory, good old Sonic has a lot more room to do cool tricks, and this is what makes this version stand head and shoulders above all the other Genesis games that came out this year. Sega is smart. They could have just changed the backgrounds and called it a sequel, but they didn't. Instead, Sega added a lot of cool features. For one, Sonic now has a sidekick in Tails, and with the second character now there's an option to have a friend play along in a 2-player simultaneous game. To top that all off, the screen is split, and that offers each player his own view of the action. I forgot about that. All in all, Sonic 2 is the best Genesis cart to come along in a long time.
nice. Yeah, see, back then, game companies didn't just change a few backgrounds and say, hey, we've got a sequel. They actually had to make you want the game, and that meant innovating.
Yeah, I forgot they had the 2-player split screen. Completely forgot about that. That's huge, man.
That was.
That was huge because Mario never had that. Mario never ever had that. It was always back then. I'm talking. You always had to wait your turn. You know, when your life was done, then it was the second player's turn. But it was never like a. Wasn't it a race mode? If I remember correctly, does anybody remember?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Like, were you competing? Like, I can't remember. It's been a long time since I played that game.
Yeah, it's been very long for me as well. I think the last time I played it was about 93 or 94.
Sonic 2 is cool, but it's no Sonic Spinball. God, yeah, there was somebody in the chat, I think, last week that said they got Sonic Spinball for Christmas and they were completely disappointed. I think it was Josh. Yeah, the mini game segments, particularly in the first Sonic pinball, when the screen is moving, I was never a fan of that. And it gets even worse with Sonic 2 where you have that third person running. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I applaud the Sonic team for trying those things for sure, but it just wasn't for me. That's all.
Yeah. This game, I will admit, in '92, I did not have an SNES. This was a game I wanted, which was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
Oh, this is for the NES, I believe.
Yeah. This was the game I wanted because I loved TMNT 2, the arcade version, the arcade port. And honestly, I think this game is an underrated classic.
This is Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project, though. This is a completely separate. Okay.
I do think that this is an underrated classic, though, because it's a great game. It's a fun game if you've got friends over. Okay. The Turtles' last adventure before they took the jump to 16-bit is easily the best game ever to hit the NES. In this cart, Konami literally took the old system to its limits, and then found ways of doing even more by using every programming trick their wizards have learned in the last 6 years. With graphics that rival some of the early Super NES carts, gameplay that was honed to perfection, superb 2-player simultaneous action, and a super huge quest, Turtles 3 easily comes in as the game of the year.
It just confused me there because it just said Nintendo.
Yeah, that was the original NES.
Yeah, the original NES. John Awar, good morning, my friend.
Hey, John.
How you doing? Merry Christmas. Hope you're having a good holiday. Yeah, Manhattan Project, I didn't spend a lot of time with. It's one I actually kind of want to go back to, but it just, it was 92, and with the 16-bit systems out, a lot of titles like this got overshadowed. I did rent this game.
Yeah.
But it just didn't really stick out for me. I don't think it was good or bad. I think it was just kind of there for me. But
yeah.
But there's no greater winner, ladies and gentlemen, than the still champion Light Boy.
Oh, yeah.
I love this. The only peripheral need. Well, it has a magnifier, too, on that. So the best game of the year for the TurboGrafx 16, ladies and gentlemen, is Arizonk by Turbo Technologies, a.k.a. Hudson. It took a lot of guts for a company to take a proven success, being Bonk, and deviate from the past hit. But Turbo Technologies did, and it ended up with a new character that rivals the original in likability and popularity. Besides this, the excuse me, the game plays exceptionally well, has outstanding graphics and animation, and cool music. Hopefully, Turbo Technologies Incorporated will bring Zonk back for a sequel. I second that. Air Zonk is in the top 5 for the Turbo graphics. It's an incredible side-scrolling shooter. It's brilliant in its art design, its color palette, and the fun factor. And it's very difficult.
It is. I remember you played it on stream at one point.
I did. That was one of my early 2022s. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a fun stream though.
It was good. We got pretty far. I got pretty far, but ultimately I didn't end up finishing it. So there you go. P90, there's a challenge for you. Air Zonk. It's incredibly difficult, but a lot of fun.
I'd say a lot of the Bonk games just in general are incredibly difficult.
All right. If you want to take on
best RPG.
Well, no, we got portable game. We want to. Oh yeah, let's go that way. Sure, we'll go across. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so best RPG game of the year, all systems, Working Designs, Cosmic Fantasy 2. The CD generation is here, and Cosmic Fantasy 2 for the new Turbo Duo is a good example of what other companies will be doing next year. Featuring dozens of detailed cinemas, a realistic sounding voice, an original plot, a huge world to traverse, and a quest that will challenge the best of the players. This CD literally blows away all of the other RPGs to date.
Not too familiar with that one. Why me? Because you're sick in the head like me and you enjoy putting yourself through hell. We don't back off from a challenge, so I think that would be right up your alley. John of War, too, I think would enjoy. Air Zonk. John likes the hard, old school stuff as well.
Oh, yeah.
Best action adventure game of the year for all systems would be Lucasfilm's Super Star Wars.
Oh, I remember that hell right.
So congrats to Super Star Wars, refined with Empire and Jedi and the Indiana Jones collection as well. But this was the first one in that style from LucasArts. Excuse me, coming just short of winning the game of the year. What? Really? What?
Okay, that's a new one.
Coming just short of winning game of the year, Super Star Wars really demonstrates what a good game producer can do on a Super NES. With superb graphics, perfect gameplay and control, spectacular digitized sound, and long but not overly difficult quests, Super Star Wars is one of the best kart games ever made.
Okay, I'll agree with the music. I'll agree with the gameplay and sound, but overly difficult? Not overly difficult?
Yeah, everyone. All the old school platformers are really enjoying Star Wars. Perfect gameplay. Yeah. Yeah, it was obviously refined. I think Empire Strikes Back was much better, and Jedi, I think, was even better. Of course, they're sequels; they're gonna get a little bit better over time. But again, A New Hope is not anywhere near my top as far as favorite Star Wars stories goes. Even back then, there's just the 3, right? So this is probably the one I spent the least amount of time with. So again, I trust the guys at EGM. I might have to go back and revisit.
Yeah,
Super Star Wars.
Yeah, could be worth a little trip down memory lane.
Now Den's going to go into best portable game for portable system.
Okay, we have Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Sega comes through again with another new Sonic game that doesn't just modify the previous kart. Sonic now takes to the air in a hang glider, blasts through loops in a frenzy, and blows through the underground caverns on a rail kart. With 4 megabits of power, this super sequel has Sonic moving so fast that the screens fly by so fast that you almost get dizzy. It's an all-new mega adventure that breathes new life in the Sega Game Gear.
Very cool.
I can honestly say I never played the Sega Game Gear. None of my friends had it.
What, the Game Gear?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who had it growing up. I got one later,
Mm.
and I've certainly played one, but I mean, if I was going to do a portable back then and I wasn't like, I tried them all out when they came out. I wanted to have every piece of hardware out there.
Yeah. I wasn't a portable gamer.
So for me, I mean, I never had to like play my video games outside. For me, going outside or going to the mall or something was separate from video games. Video games, I always took it, and don't laugh. Okay, Chad, don't laugh. I always took it serious, like Johnny Arcade, because I thought that that was real. I thought back then that like, that was his desk job, and I always said I'm going to do that. So for me, gaming was a serious thing that you did in like an office type setting. I know it's funny. You can feel free to make fun of me, but I never felt the need to take it with me. I always wanted to just sit in front of the TV at home kind of thing, and especially have it on the bigger screen, right?
Yeah. I will say this. The only time my friends and I really did gaming, like when we were out hanging out together, was when we hit the arcade.
Yeah, well,
none of us carried around a portable game.
No, we did. We'd have friends over and stuff to play 2-player games, but
yeah, I know a few friends who had like Game Boys and that, but that was usually they only played those when their parents were watching something on TV.
John of War says I had a lot of road trips as a kid. Game Gear, Game Boy, Tiger handhelds, etc. kept me occupied during those long trips. See, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. It just depends on the person, right? Don't forget, guys, our good buddy here, John of War, streams over on Twitch. So make sure you go over there. When you're checking out Willie or JP or whoever, give him a follow. He's a great streamer. Good buddy of mine.
And he has some pretty cool Twitch redeems, like playing with sunglasses on, which will darken the room, have the sunglasses on. And yeah, it's great fun watching him do that stuff.
Why isn't Castlevania for coloring, what graphics or music take a back seat? I don't understand what you're saying, dude. Why is it Castlevania? Yeah, I don't know what that
wondering means. Why those, why Castlevania isn't above all these. Because it did music and graphics so much better.
Well, 92. I'm trying to think of when Super Castlevania came out. Did it come out in 92?
I don't think it did.
Yeah, it all depends, right? Yeah, so there you go. 90 says there's no Castlevania games in 92.
Yeah.
So there you go.
He would know. He plays them all.
Moving on to the best sports game of the year. That is from EA, and of course, that is John Madden 1993. So beats out NHL. EA did it again. They took the best football game ever made and made it better. Madden 93 now features faster gameplay, smoother animation, updated player stats, a hurry up, no huddle offense, a quarterback stop the clock feature, 8 new teams from the past, more digitized speech, a split screen, play calling the screen, and more. Suffice to say, EA knows sports, and this version is the best football game ever made. Buy it. There you go.
That's okay. I mean, this was early in the Madden years, so nowadays it just feels like every year is a rehash. But that's my
there really is no. I mean, I think EA did a really ballsy thing, if I may use that word. I think it was 2004 or 2005. They contacted the NFL and they paid a boatload of money to be the only video game company allowed to use the NFL license for a 5-year period.
Yeah.
So it was either 2004, 2005. And I remember once that was up, it didn't matter. Like 5 years is a lifetime in video games. That's like half a generation. So they absolutely dominated NFL.
Yeah, and they've
I don't know
still
any
got
other
that.
NFL games that even stood a chance after that. Like back then, we had John Elway, Montana, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But this was like sports dudes that were really, really into everything about football.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't. I liked the way football played in a video game form. That's why I liked Montana, because it was quick. It was not about like knowing the plays and stuff. It was just kind of like Tecmo Bowl, right? Where Madden was like the plays were wrote by John himself.
Yeah.
So like Tripp and John have that famous meeting on the Go Train and all that. And all the plays were done by Madden. So this was like the football fans' football game right here.
Yeah.
Josh, good to see you.
Hey, Josh. It's, I was more of a Joe Montana fan as well. I'm not one of these people that knows all the plays and how to counter them and how to read a defense or an offense. That is not me.
John says Blitz was the best football, that or Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah.
John, I'm going to throw one into that ring. Do you remember NFL Hits?
Ooh.
Also by EA. I think around the year 2005, but that was like kind of like a Blitz game. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
That was for like guys like me. Whereas like the NBA Jam of basketball, right? I think it was like 3 versus 3 football.
Yeah.
There was NFL Hits and there's NHL Hits.
And NFL
I can't remember what the game was called. It was NFL something.
Yeah.
But it was more of like a Blitz style by EA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be NFL Street. Anyway, neither here nor there. Most innovative new game, all systems. Interplays out of this world. Actually looking more like one long cinema. Out of this world, it's an adventure game that goes beyond the typical blast and run softs. In this cart, the player has to use his mind in addition to his game playing skills. The overall theme is still a quest, but the player is constantly being forced to make decisions. The right choice allows you to proceed, while the wrong decision brings death. A refreshing change from the ordinary.
I'm just trying to Google this here because it's bugging me now. I want to show you guys what I mean.
Cutthroat, they did have a Bo Jackson football game.
Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Sorry, it's NFL Street.
Yeah,
John,
NFL
that's the one
Street.
I was talking about. NFL Street.
I liked that one. That was fun.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Congrats to Out of This World.
Yeah,
moving on to
back in the day. It's awesome.
Best graphics in a video game for any system. And the winner is Viewpoint for the Neo Geo. So I'm guessing the arcades counted. So I was going to say, I don't know if that's really fair, but I guess it is. So Viewpoint for the Neo Geo. I mean, that screenshot doesn't look anything super great.
No.
Best graphics in a video game, all systems, SNK's Viewpoint. All right. There's no big surprise that the Neo Geo would win this award. Since their multi-meg games are just arcade boards in a huge cartridge case, the graphics that they produce are understandably top-notch. Viewpoint is their best to date, and it features some of the most intense action ever seen on a TV. This game was so good that even Martin was impressed.
Wow. That's saying something. Okay, best video game system. All game systems. Nintendo, Super Nintendo.
There you go. There you go. Right. There's the battle.
Yeah. This was the hardest decision that the editors had to make. While the Genesis is a phenomenal system, this year had to go to the Super NES because of the huge amount of quality software that came out. The Genesis, on the other hand, went for months without a major title hitting the stores. The lack of hardware or software scaling is now hurting the Genesis.
So 1992, the Super Nintendo. Yeah, I mean, like Zelda, Link to the Past, and Street Fighter 2. That's it, man. Like that's pretty easy. Yeah. Best video game sequel on all consoles. The winner is Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for Super Nintendo. Without a doubt, the most eagerly awaited sequel this year was Zelda 3. After numerous delays, the game finally hit the stores this spring, and once players finally got the cart, nobody complained, as the game was that good. Unfortunately, Nintendo spoiled everything by packing a walkthrough with the game, and players blew through the game in a matter of days. Hold up. Let me just say again, EGM, I love you. However, don't blame Nintendo for that. Don't blame Sega for putting a walkthrough with Phantasy Star 2. Don't blame Nintendo for putting a walkthrough for Zelda. And don't blame them in the future for putting a guide with Earthbound. If you cannot control yourself and you need to look at a strategy guide, that is on you.
Yeah.
That is on you. What these developers didn't want, there's no internet. So what these developers didn't want was you to get stuck and then be like, you know what? I can't get past the 4th dungeon in Zelda. This game sucks.
Yeah.
And then word spreads that way. It's on the player. Do you agree?
Absolutely. They provided a resource. What you do with that resource, that's on you.
Come on now.
I can't. Yeah.
Well, you can play it a number of different ways, still cut through. It's on Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah.
Link to the Past was so good. I was so immersed in that game. I agree. It was amazing.
Yeah.
HEC says EGM, it's getting out of control, baby.
Yeah. I agree with what Josh said. Sega has the console, but SNES has the games. So best music in a video game, cart/CD game systems. Honestly, at this point, I really I paid attention to the music, but it wasn't my number one thing. And looking back at games that I've played, it's amazing the quality of music they did with both 8-bit and 16-bit systems.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a little opposite just because I think, I've always played music myself. But I do remember, dude, remembering what's memorable, like Mega Man 2, the soundtrack is perfect from every stage. Sonic the Hedgehog 1, soundtracks like that. I remember in 98, 99, when Napster was a thing, one of the first things I was looking up was gaming soundtracks. And I remember burning a lot of these onto blank CDs and playing them at parties and being absolutely laughed at. Being absolutely laughed at by people. But it's I don't care, man. Now video game music is, look at Video Games Live and concerts and stuff like that. Right now it's a mainstream thing. But back then, it really get laughed at. But it was always important to me. Look at the other day when we were playing Halo. Playing Halo, and just during the action when that orchestra comes in, it just brings tears to your eyes. It's incredible, You
get goosebumps and you're like, wow, because something special is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to answer a few questions here, then we're going to carry on. We're going to get to a few comments. Yep, I think John says, I think there was a time when everyone didn't know the basics of Japanese role-playing games either. Plus, they're quite cryptic. Yes. And if you look at stuff, John, like Castlevania 2, which if you didn't have Nintendo Power, there's no way you were going to get past that wall. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why developers made things so, like you said, cryptic. Say the same thing about Phantasy Star 2. You have the guide, but you don't have to use it. Yes, I agree, dude. 100%. Raj says, Jay, have you any special Link to the Past memories? For example, did you play with a buddy or anything? Yeah. My memory with that game is okay. I'll condense it down, as I've told this story once or twice, I think. We never had EB Games, which back then was Electronic Boutique. We never had that in Canada for a while. I think 94 is when it came here, I believe.
Yeah.
And, game magazines would give you a roundabout idea, like we see here now. They can kind of pinpoint the month when things are coming out, but there was no release dates. And the States would get games before Canada would. So my mom would go shopping in the States, and she would take me with her, myself and my aunt and her. We would go, and we would go to Electronic Boutique in this mall in Michigan, right across the border there. It was always such a fun time for me because we never had Electronics Boutique, and that was like a serious game store.
Mm.
Like Toys R Us was cool, but Toys R Us was, toys and various other things.
Hmm.
Electronics Boutique was, dude, it was from the future. Like the walls were friggin' glass, right? The doors were all glass. Like there
It
was
felt
flat
like,
wall.
yeah.
It's like if I could design my own video game room, it would look like Electronics Boutique. So the one time we went there in '92, that's when I found Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. And EGM and Game Pro always went with me on these long trips. So it all kind of ties together, you know what I mean?
Yeah. For us here in the West, we did not have EB again longer than out east, especially in my small town. What we did have that opened up in '92 was Microplay.
Oh yeah.
And I know that you worked there, and you always say it was your best job ever.
Oh yeah, it was.
And it was amazing. And I remember a buddy of mine getting back to A Link to the Past. He was the rich kid in the class. Basically, his mom thought you didn't belong if you didn't drive a Lincoln Town car. I went to his place, and he had Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. And I'm like, oh my God, you got it? He's like, yeah, I beat it like within 2 days.
Yeah. Wow.
And I was like, why? He goes, well, they gave us a walkthrough. I'm like, why did you do that though? Like,
You know, it's
been
funny.
waiting so
I
long for this.
have the strategy guide for that
Yeah.
from Nintendo Power, but I do not remember what they're talking about a walkthrough. Because the only thing I can picture, dude, is that it was the size of the box, unless they gave you a separate walkthrough. I
Yeah.
don't remember the walkthrough for Link to the Past whatsoever.
No, I
do
don't
not.
either. And that's, like it came out later, like that I would get.
Yeah, I got the Nintendo Power one for sure. But
Yeah.
I used to love collecting guides because, again, back then, it was just another thing that added excitement to the game,
Yeah.
right? Like there
I
wasn't
didn't
like toys and stuff like that this time were very sparse. Like
Yeah.
that wasn't a normal thing like it was now to get like game characters in toy form or posters or anything like that. It was very rare. So
Yeah.
to have something else from that game you loved was one reason that I would
Yeah.
get guides too, right?
Yeah. I didn't start buying a lot of guides until, much like you, Resident Evil 1.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep.
Because that game, I needed the guide. I'm not going to deny that. I needed that guide.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think, every person, just the way people think is completely different. So
Yeah.
some people may need it more than others. I mean, it's like my buddy messaged me the other day and he's like, the first time he's playing Resident Evil 4, the remake.
Yeah.
And he's like, why did I play it on hardcore difficulty? It's like frustrating. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, what are you trying to prove? Like,
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that like, P90 and John and myself, we play a lot of these old school games for the challenge.
Yeah.
But that's just like challenging ourselves, right? Like I don't put a game on super hard regularly. Do you know what I mean? Like those NES games, there rarely is a difficulty setting, but like something like Resident Evil, I would put it on normal or easy to get through it just because I want to enjoy the game, right? So using a guide, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't think, I don't know.
I remember renting Resident Evil because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. Hey, Largo's Lair is here.
Jim, what's going on, buddy? Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas, Largo.
Good to see your face, my friend. May all your video games get an extra life. Thanks, buddy. I hope you're doing well, man. Hope you're doing well.
Like with Resident Evil, I rented it it was insanely hard, but I knew I wanted to buy the game because it was fun. And I'm like, I'm going to need a guide for this because back then we didn't have the internet. At least
John,
not as.
Sorry, John says there's nothing like Resident Evil in the mainstream back then. I used the guide in EGM or GamePro. They were only given the Japanese beta version, so many of the puzzles were wrong. Oh, wow. I never, you guys say the first one. I never had the guide for the first game. I remember I have the strategy guide for 2 and 3 in one book from Brady Guides because it was the GameCube versions. So they put, because those all got released at the same time. So they put 2 and 3. In fact, I should have got some of these guides today. It's just in the next room, but I never had the guide for the first one. I'm almost positive. I think I might have had it for the GameCube remake, but
yeah. And HGC saying, he was an early fan of the game guides. He loved the art and the backstory. Got the FF1 guide from Nintendo Power before I actually got the game. My mom, a school teacher, found it and gave it to me. Wow, that is amazing. I hope you still have
it. Cutthroat's asking, was there a guide or walkthrough for the original Metal Gear? Maybe John can answer that.
I don't know about the original. I know there was one for Metal Gear Solid. I have it.
Yeah, and Metal Gear was rough, Cutthroat. If you play that today...
that game's no joke.
The Japanese to English translation is bad.
Yeah.
So a lot of the words it doesn't make sense. And it's just, you just walk in a room and you're dead. Like the floor opens and you're dead. Do it again.
Dead.
Right? It's just, it's hardcore, man. The first Metal Gear's like...
I remember playing that at a friend's place, at one of my dad's friends' places with their kids. And I think it was 86.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, this game sounds so cool. They're like, it's rough.
It was good. Like, I loved it.
I love it. To this day, I love it. But that game does not hold your hand. Actually, I don't think any of the Nintendo games really held our hands because they wanted to get that. Yeah.
We are moving on to the best new peripheral for all game systems, and that award goes to the Sega CD. No comparison here. Sega has the system of the future in their Sega CD with virtually... Wait, did I read yours?
I haven't read mine, but that's okay.
Oh,
we got off on a tangent there.
Okay, you can go back after this one. Sega has the system of the future in their Sega CD with virtually no access time. Yeah, right. Dual super fast processors working in parallel, full motion video capability, hardware scaling, rotation, zoom and fading of the sprites. The Sega CD for the Sega Genesis is the system to watch in 1993. Best of all, this system is real. Wait, the system is real as you can go to the store and buy it now. That sentence doesn't make any sense. No vaporware promises as the big N is starting to circulate. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to your music there. Yeah, we kind of went on a
tangent, but I do love that about these reads is we get off on a tangent and we start talking about all this other stuff. Because we've got such passion for this. Best music in a video game, SNK/Turbo Technologies Viewpoint /Gate of Thunder. I will state I have not played this. It looks pretty cool though. When it comes to music, the basic concept that the more memory a game has, the better the sound will be. Holds true. The normal 8 meg carts fall short here, and the Mucho Meg Neo Geo Game Viewpoint gets the nod for some of the coolest music ever to appear in a cart. In the CD arena, TurboTech's pack-in Gate of Thunder blows away anything ever done in a home video game. This disc has to be heard to be believed. That's very cool.
Yeah, and now it's like I would look at best music. I mean that's hard, right? That's like saying best band of the year or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, what do you look at to prove that? Are we looking at concert sales, record sales?
Well, here they're looking at purely
Yeah.
what sounds the best through the technology, which I
Yeah,
don't think
I
is
get that, but I
accurate,
mean with like it's kind of subjective, like being best band as well.
yeah.
What metrics are you using for that?
Most number of sequels for all game systems goes to Capcom's Mega Man 5. The ever popular Mega Man is back for his 5th game. Perhaps this time he will really get rid of the evil Dr. Wily. Nah. He has to come back one more so that Capcom can do a Super Mega Man 6 for the Super NES. That would be cool, and perhaps then Capcom USA could run a contest like Capcom of Japan did this last summer. Our players would have had a chance to send in their names for the next batch of Super Robots. And yeah, they did that starting at the 2nd game, and it's a tradition that kept going, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
And I will say this much. I love the Mega Man games. I admit I haven't played all of them. I played the first 6 on the NES.
Yeah. There's 6, 7 is on Super, 8 is on PlayStation.
Yeah,
9 and 10 are DLC. 11's on the PS4 gen. I know
bouncing
there's only 3 Marios on NES. There's 6 Mega Mans total on NES.
As for most sequels, wait until you get into like the 2010s. Then there's a lot of sequels.
All right, you're up.
All right. Just scrolling through. Best video game ending, all systems. Capcom Street Fighter 2. Okay. With an ending for each of the characters, plus additional special endings for the different difficulty levels, plus even more extra special endings for the way you play level 7, Capcom Street Fighter 2 wins this award. Now, if they would only have saved the memory used for all those endings and put it into a championship edition boss option, everybody would have been happy. I remember my friends and I, we all wanted all the endings all the time.
Yeah, it was cool to go through it with every character just to see their story, because these characters were so intriguing. I mean, they remind me of any Blizzard character from Overwatch, how you just get little snippets of their story. If you're lucky, your favorite character will have a CG cinematic, right? But this same thing here, you just wanted to know more about Guile, and this is before the comic, before the TV show. So the ending was giving you that pretty much.
Yeah. I got to agree. Yeah, and I do agree, Matt. The number of endings does not equal the best ending.
I would agree as well. I think it's just because the number of characters, right? So you have to have an ending for each guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. The hottest video game babe for all systems. Street Fighter 2, Streets of Rage 2. What? You can't have both. You got to pick one.
Well,
our editors were evenly divided. Oh, there you go, on this category. Half loved Chun-Li, especially in red, in Street Fighter 2, while the other half thought that Blaze was the real exceptional in Sega's new Streets of Rage 2. That's how it reads. Since it's a tie, we don't have to write to tell us. You'll have to write in to tell us which lady you think is the hottest video game babe. We'll announce the winner in a couple of months.
No I gotta say that screenshot of Chun-Li, I could not tell what that was.
Well, it's so you can see her butt, right? That's why they picked that. She's
but they could have picked a better screenshot. Yeah. Best license of the year. I remember playing this. I didn't play the Sega version,
which is funny because they said that Super Star Wars almost won Game of the Year.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that, by definition, take best licensed game? Hey, saying.
And then if you look directly below it, best movie to game.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they didn't want it to be like a complete wash, right? Like where Star Wars would clean up with everything. Anyway,
Batman Returns. I remember playing this game on the NES, and it is, again, one of those games they don't hold our hands. The blockbuster movie this last summer, Batman Returns, wins this prize. Sega and Konami get special credit for putting their faith and dollars behind this flick. While Batman was practically guaranteed to turn a profit, the game companies could just as easily have been the poor souls that backed the not so spectacular RoboCop 3. Yeah, I mean, let's face it, there were more than a few bad licensed games for movies over the years.
I think most are. Yeah. I think they're talking about RoboCop 3, the film, being just
that was
really awful. So we got the hottest new game character in a video game for all game systems, and that goes to Sega's Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on Genesis. Mm-hmm. The masters at Sega have really come through with a winner in Sonic's sidekick, Miles Prower. What? Say it real fast. Not only is he as cute as Sonic, but he actually serves a major purpose in the game by allowing a second person to play simultaneously in the split screen mode with the first player. Hopefully, Sega will write Tails into their new Sega CD version. Congrats, Tails. Big fan too. I think he's a great character.
I honestly loved that in Sonic 2. My friends and I could play split screen. It was something that actually was very innovative at the time. So I got to give credit where credit is due. Sega did an amazing job. And I'm not a huge Sonics
guy. So for the next one, the video game Babes, Too Hot for the US, we're going to skip that. So if you want to go to best movie game.
Movie to game. Okay, best movie to game, JVC, Lucasfilms, Super Star Wars. Everybody has seen the Star Wars movies, and now with the first picture translated to Nintendo's Super System, JVC/Lucasfilm has demonstrated that games can actually be created which will follow the movie in great detail. In this super soft, okay, I would go with hot soft, but okay, that's just me. The action sequences are spectacular, as are the depiction of the characters and their animations. With games this good, how much better can the CD version get?
So I'm finding it hard to tell the difference between the best licensed game of the year and the best movie game of the year.
You'd think that they would fall under the same, right?
I think it's kind of the same thing, but
I think so. But maybe they just wanted to add an extra category.
The best cartoon to a game for all systems goes to Sunsoft's Death Valley Rally. Although lots of famous cartoon characters, Felix the Cat, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Mickey Mouse, etc., are starting to appear in their own video games, many fail because the game just doesn't capture the essence of the character. Death Valley Rally is truly the exception rather than the rule, as every little detail of the cartoon is meticulously duplicated in this game. And it's Roadrunner. Okay. I don't even remember this game. So
I do. It's a tough game. I know some streamers that play it, and
okay,
it's really tough because there's like secret passages, and it is wild. It's actually pretty good.
So Matt says, not necessarily. Best licensed game could include toys and TV shows. Very true. While the category seemed aimed directly at movies.
Okay, I'll give you that. I do.
Too many categories for EGM. I think it's good. This next one is it's got to be a joke.
Yeah, this one's gonna sting a little, folks. Best game system that is a year late. All systems. Nintendo's Super NES CD-ROM. Last January, Nintendo issued a press release about their new CD-ROM and promised the product in January of 1993. Now, a few months away, Nintendo again makes an announcement saying that their new CD-ROM will be out in August of 1993. Come on, Nintendo. How about something we all can believe?
Yeah, and if EGM only has a drawing of a prototype,
That's bad.
you know that this thing probably doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
The Nintendo PlayStation, crazy times. Yep.
Yeah.
We're getting into we're gonna get into my favorite time in gaming, which is like 94, 95.
Yeah.
When all that wacky stuff started to happen, and there was all the competitors. Best trick that didn't work on all systems. EGM's Shenlong. What?
See, did I miss this? Like, there was actually, like, in my arcade, there was a big printout of how to get Shenlong for Shenlong for the longest time.
Yeah, because people thought it was real. It's not real.
Yeah, but it was like right next to the Street Fighter 2 machine for the longest time.
Yeah, it was their best trick they ever did, man. The James Bond GoldenEye one was pretty close to this, but
yeah,
people believe this. I remember watching people trying to do it, and it was just a trick that did not exist. What is up, James? Hey, kids! Happy Sunday, dude.
James. Yeah, but yeah, like for the longest time, like I must have missed this because I was like, maybe it does work.
Does not. It's impossible.
I know, but for the longest time, like I was a dumb kid. What did I know? I guess I missed.
I believe it too. And then they did the April Fools, and I was just, I remember being disappointed. But I got to tell you, man, the Bond one. And for those who don't know, the April Fool's trick in like 97 was that you could play in GoldenEye. You could be
the different
Roger Moore and Sean Connery and Timothy Dalton, and I think Lazenby would have been the other one.
Yeah,
and they even showed the faces, and then that was just a cruel April Fool's trick. And then many years later, we find out that those characters are actually in the cartridge, in the programming. What happened was at the 0 hour, they couldn't get the license to those actors, so they couldn't. So it is in fact in there. So that was even more fascinating because it's kind of true.
I would love to see a documentary about that, like with the creators. But you know, I'm like you. I love video game history. I'm kind of a strange person that way. But I think we all are because we're all here reading this stuff.
Average Gamer, good morning. Good to see you. Hey, Master Temple is here. Good to see you.
Oh, Josh, there is a GoldenEye game, dog. I'll have to look in. I'll have to watch that.
I don't know about that. I don't know. The Game Shark did a lot of stuff. You could use it to unlock everything in GoldenEye. I don't know though, but that is actually true. It's, I think, the best prank they did next to this one though. So wow, never did we expect to get worldwide coverage for a trick that was meant to be a harmless April Fool's joke. Who would ever think that even pictures can lie? Wait till you get to the year 2024.
Oh yeah.
We all know that it was fake, but who will be the one to tell the poor Hong Kong Street Fighter mag that it isn't real? Not us. Just wait until April 1993. And I can't remember what they did for 93. So,
the one that hurt me the most was World of StarCraft. That one hurt.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I was like, because I wanted that. I love StarCraft games.
So that stand that's called the Golden Era. Is that what that's called? I've never seen that.
I'll have to look that up. I'll have to check that out after the stream. Okay, Strangest License. Boy, there's a lot of them. Acclaim's The Incredible Crash Dummies. I remember this toy line.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. We've seen some pretty strange games come across our desk, but the one that gets the special award this year goes to Acclaim's licensing of a public safety announcement. We're not mocking the game. It actually is quite good and fun to play. But we would like to shake the hand of the person who came up with this very unusual license. After this year, what's next? We're afraid to even hazard a guess.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who collected that toy line.
Yeah.
But this would have been when I was out of toys by this point. But I do remember seeing that in the cartoon and stuff in the games and just being like, this is really stupid.
I saw one of my classmates had a few of them. I was 11 at this time, so wasn't completely out of toys. And yes, the Incredible Crash Test Dummies also had a cartoon too.
The worst video game sequel of 1992 for all systems goes to THQ with Home Alone 2, Lost in New Nothings. The video game of the first Home Alone movie wasn't exactly the game of the year last year. The sequel for any of the game systems, unfortunately, follows in the same tradition and needs a little polishing. It may be a good idea for THQ to note that players expect more than a mediocre game for their money before it's too late. And I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
One East Coast company is still trying to get out from under the reputation of making poor quality games. Gee, is that LJN they're talking about?
Possibly.
I wonder.
I can safely say that I have never played Home Alone 2 or the original Home Alone game.
Oh, yeah, I've Cutthroat. I played it. I streamed Home Alone for Super Nintendo in 2022.
Okay.
This was back before I tested the games to see if we could do 4+ hours. Do you remember that? I think it was on Twitch I did that. It didn't go well.
You played some hell rides, like Wirehead, which actually wasn't a bad game.
Wirehead was fun because everyone was getting involved in because we had to write down the directions, right? Because you had to keep repeating things.
Yeah.
But Home Alone 1 is terrible. Home Alone 2 I have played. I don't really remember it.
Okay. Maximum Carnage by LJN is great. Okay.
Well, LJN would be the publisher, though.
Yeah.
I don't think they made it. I can't remember who made that.
Worst movie to game. Boy, they probably had a lot.
Rocketeer. No.
Yeah. IGS's The Rocket. I don't even know IGS. This is probably their try to break into the industry. The movie showed great promise. So said the movie critics. Unfortunately, the public didn't agree with the movie critics. I enjoyed it. And the flick bombed. The game also had potential with very innovative digitized graphics. Unfortunately, like the movie, the cart just didn't come across as an exciting, well-playing game. As flying a plane around in a circle just didn't cut it with the game players looking for something more.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that movie coming out and it just completely bombing. Most lawsuits, all game companies, and that award goes to Sega of America.
Yeah.
Last year, it seemed that Nintendo was going out and suing everybody they could, as they did. This year, while Nintendo did get in the spotlight with a big suit, they won. They finally won one. Against Atari, it was Sega's turn to go after some of the companies that were causing them problems. The one that got the most publicity was Sega versus Accolade. Sega claimed that Accolade was violating their copyright by causing the Sega logo to appear when an unlicensed Accolade cart was played in a Genesis. Accolade claimed that they only reverse engineered the product according to already established procedures. While the suit is still in court, even today, Accolade claimed the victory as the judge allowed them to continue making Genesis compatible carts. Yeah, this is when Sega tried to have their seal of quality too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Bobby, how you doing? Welcome on in.
Hey, Bobby. Yeah, it was like the Nintendo seal of quality, knowing you had a licensed game, but there were so many unlicensed. Okay, so dumbest lawsuit, all companies. Sega of America versus Jan Coyle.
Hmm.
Sega comes through again with another strange lawsuit, which they never should have gotten into. Apparently, a Mr. Jan Coyle has the patent for moving computer-generated graphics on a TV screen. All of the major companies realized that Coyle's patent was sound, and they settled out of court. Some genius at Sega had a brilliant idea that everybody else thought wrong, and they decided to take the case to court. Here comes the good part. Had they settled out of court, Sega would have only had to pay a measly $7 million to get the rights from Mr. Doyle. But no, they went to court and lost, as all the other game companies expected. They ended up paying $43 million. Nice move, Sega. That's $36 million, $36 million bucks you could have put into game development. And if you did, all of us players would be playing Sega games rather than Super Nintendo carts.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, man.
Yeah,
a lot of money.
That was serious coin. I'm pretty sure whoever came up with that idea got fired.
The best video game that never came out in the US for all game companies was Parodius. Thank you, by Konami. Everybody is familiar with the spectacular line of greatest shooters that Konami had on the market. What only a few players know, though, is the story of their other game, which is a parody of a serious batch of carts. Originally brought out in Japan as an arcade game, it was later released for the Nintendo 8-bit Famicom and downsized another time in order to fit in the portable black and white Game Boy. Just recently, Konami of Japan brought out an 8-megabyte 16-bit Super Famicom version, and we have to say that this cart sports some of the best graphics ever done by a company. The game is called Parodius, to signify that is a parody of their other games. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I never heard of this game.
Yeah.
And it contains tongue-in-cheek humor whereby the player must blow away such evil monsters as parrots, clowns, and big boss cats. While cute looking, the game is far from being easy. We have found that it is challenging. We have found that it is challenging as the normal Gradius games, and it easily deserves its place in store shelves in the US. Well, I can tell you right now that this game would have not sold at all. At all. So that was a smart move, Konami, not to bring that to the Western markets. There's no way.
Yeah.
No way.
I will say this much. Konami is a very smart company.
For sure.
They know what markets their games are going to do well in, like what genres will do well. Best video game rumor, all game companies. Yes. Street Fighter 2 for Genesis and Turbo Duo CD, and Arcade Street Fighter 3. Okay. Josh says that in 94, Sega was approximately making $90 million a year. Yeah, so basically half their internal revenue went to a lawsuit. Yeah, not a good plan. Not a good plan at all. Okay, Street Fighter 2 for Genesis and Turbo Duo CD, and Arcade Street Fighter 3. Mention Street Fighter 2, and you'll hear Sega and Turbo players talking about Spectacular Champion Edition CD versions that are soon to be out for their systems. Spurned on by similar rumors being whispered by Sega officials, the line on the street is that at least a Sega CD version will be out 60 to 90 days after the Sega CD hits the store. Of course, Capcom flatly denies any such rumors. They want to sell as many Super NES copies as possible. This story will only finally be resolved next spring when and if the game actually does come out. Talk to arcade players, and the buzzword is Street Fighter 3. See, gamers have always been this. We've always wanted that next great game.
Well, the idea of building upon one game wasn't heard of. So meaning that, like, Champion Edition is like 1.5 version
Mhm.
of Street Fighter 2. That they didn't. Nobody thought that would happen. So
No.
clearly, the next version will be the third one.
Yeah.
It's not because they had 5 versions of Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
So that's what they think Street Fighter 3 is. But
yeah, everybody claims to have seen a version of the new game, and even a few crafty arcade owners have labeled a bogus version of Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition as Street Fighter 3. Of course, these games are nothing but are nothing but CE Edition ripoffs with games with rip-off accelerator main memory clip installed. To make things worse, Capcom is now bringing out a set of their own accelerator chips, and they are relabeling the CE games as Turbo Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. This new version of the CE by Capcom adds a few new moves. Chun-Li can now throw fireballs, and speeds up gameplay. To date, there hasn't been a real SF3 game located anywhere. Hey, Dale.
same time, what's going on? So I walk into the living room and I look at the TV and I'm like, I know the guy in the blue Cobra hoodie. The family is like, no way, you're stupid. And I was like, I don't know him, but great movie, man. Damn about it. Nintendo Quest. Your family's watching that? I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
Mm.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Where are you guys watching that? I know it's on Rob's channel. That's pretty sweet, dude. Yeah, my famous Cobra. It's an Adidas jacket, is what it is. I got that at Fan Expo in 2002. The Fan Expo is like a Comic-Con in Toronto here, and I remember getting that in 2002. And yeah, I asked Rob, because every day it was like, what outfit do you want me to wear for the first one? And I'm like, can I wear the Cobra one? Because I knew that, I wanted G.I. Joe to be represented in this. He's like, yeah, go ahead, dude. Tubi, nice.
Mm-hmm.
EGM rates the systems. Okay.
Do
We have numbers? We don't have numbers here. How are they rating them? I don't see any ratings. Oh, they're just talking about them. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're going to go through this Nintendo Entertainment System. The good old NES may be finally on its way to the video game home for the aged. Although it sports an incredibly long list of games and peripherals, some of which failed miserably, the 16-bit revolution has left the NES eating its pixels. Well, come on now. Yeah, I mean, it's 1992, going into 1993. So, yeah, the NES is old.
The granddaddy may soon be going into retirement. Yeah. I mean, it had an incredibly long lifespan.
I don't know how they're... Am I missing something, Den? I don't see where they're rating them.
I think they're looking more at, like, the system specs.
Okay, so, yeah, well, we're not going to go through all that stuff, but...
No. But
we'll read their descriptions.
Yeah. Super Nintendo. Here it is, folks. The system to beat in 1993. Undoubtedly. Okay. The hottest system on the market, the SNES has taken off like a rocket. To top it all off, the SNES has snagged some of the hottest titles ever to come to the home market. Peripherals like the Super Scope and the CD-ROM make it the one to beat.
Hey, Dale, good morning. I think Street Fighter 3 is 1998. Oh, there you go. Average Gamer says 99. I was close. Bobby says, had them all except the Sega Master System. A buddy had it with Shinobi. Same dude. I never had a Master System until I was an adult. And my buddy had, I would always come over, right? He would show me like Ghost House. It's Ghost House. But I did like Alex Kidd and Wonder Boy as well.
My friend and I played Shinobi on Master System a lot.
Well, this version here, same time that they're showing, is the second version of the Master System. The original is, now Not the greatest design wise. Got a bunch of writing on it. The pause buttons on the actual console.
Oh yeah, I remember that where you actually had to get up to pause the game.
Yeah, so that's the version 2, which I'm still looking for. I found it a couple times, but it's usually really expensive.
Yeah.
The Sega Master System, you can pretty much kiss this system goodbye. Sega's entry to the 8-bit race is now a thing of the past. There were some great titles, but overall the Sega Master System had failed to make a significant name for itself in the 16-bit revolution. The VG Wars had claimed another victim. Goodbye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we've got, of course, the Genesis. This is a contender thanks to the large library of titles. It's been quite a year for the Genesis, with the expected arrival of Sega CD-ROM and the addition of new licenses. The Genesis should still prove itself to be a very popular system. The upcoming year should prove to be the hottest 16-bit battle yet. Yeah, this is when the console wars started to really heat up.
Oliver, good to see you on a Sunday.
Hey,
which of the 90s cartoon based on video games you like the most? Mega Man, Sonic, Street Fighter, or Mortal Kombat? I don't think I've seen any of them.
I've seen Mega Man, Sonic, and Street Fighter. I do remember Mortal Kombat, but I didn't watch it.
I would say I know Captain and the Game Master, and I know the Video Power Team cartoons, but yeah, I haven't seen any of those, bud. TurboGrafx. The NEC TurboGrafx 16. Once thought to be in serious danger of extinction, the Turbo may see new life with the advent of the new Turbo Duo. Although it is a possibility, the smallest list of games, although it has possibly the smallest list of games available, a surge of new game companies coming from Turbo Technologies Incorporated may serve to bolster the Turbo existence.
Yeah.
Will licensees breathe new life into the TurboGrafx? The answer to your question is no.
As much as we wanted it to.
Too little, too late.
Yeah. The SNK Neo Geo, also known as the Rich Kids console.
The hog.
The
hog, baby. Yep.
The Neo Geo is essentially an arcade game machine. Yep. Without a doubt, the most powerful home video gaming system ever made. But along with the system's power is an equally high price tag for system and softs. If you're willing to pay the price for triple-digit megs, the Neo Geo may be a worthwhile investment. I never knew anybody that had a Neo Geo growing up.
No, like I said, my story is I found mine at Jumbo Video, which was a local video game store that rented everything, and they were getting rid of it because it just wasn't moving. And I got mine. Luckily, I still have it today. It's one I'll never ever get rid of. But I love it, man. There's a complete difference.
Yeah.
Like when you play something like Magician Lord compared to, if you're going to compare it graphically to something like ActRaiser, it's night and day. There's no difference, right? There just isn't. The Atari Lynx, a powerful handheld video game system with super scaling. Something to note here, that is also the version 2 of the Lynx, which is a bit smaller, and it's a darker shade of black. The Lynx is the lowest price color portable on the market. However, there is a small catalog of games.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, in a world where money is so scarce to this brand new hobby that is home consoles, I don't know any people that one had a portable and two were going to put their money on Atari. Again, much like the TurboGrafx, who had really one in-house developer being Hudson, most of the games that came out for the Lynx were made by Atari, and that's a lot for any developer to do. You can't survive on that business model. I don't have reasons, to my knowledge, why more third parties didn't get involved with the Lynx, but Dan, you know what I'm saying. Like, right, Atari can only make so many games per year.
Yeah.
that's just the way it is, right? So
Yeah, it's yeah, you know. And
cool
unfortunately, it's soft. Um, Unfortunately, by this point in the video game wars, Atari had mainly been forgotten.
I don't think Atari ever bounced back, and I'm not talking about
Yeah,
games. I'm talking about systems like
yeah,
the 2600. That was it. There was Pong. There was the 2600. 5200 did nothing. 7800 did even less.
yeah.
The Jaguar, maybe a little bit,
Mm,
but that was quickly taken out. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
yeah. Although I do like the Jaguar infomercial they did.
oh yeah, the Matrix style.
Yeah, Nintendo Game Boy. With a huge selection of games, this black and white portable continues to hang in there. Yet this inexpensive black and white might need an update to color, and they eventually did.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The Sega Game Gear. Sega's entry into the handheld market is a color machine with some decent games. The large screen is easy on the eyes. There is also the optional TV tuner. See, when anyone reviewing or describing a system says it has a large or a decent selection of games, you don't want to go with that.
no,
You want to go with the system that has the best.
yeah,
Buying multiple systems back then, I can only speak through kids' eyes, was you were lucky if you had one console, you were lucky if you had one portable. So are
yeah,
you going to go with the one that has the okay games because it's color? Are you going to go
yeah,
with the one that has the best games that's black and white?
yeah. And in a lot of cases, convincing our parents just to get one console
Yeah,
was
exactly.
hard enough. NEC Turbo Express. This unit boasts the sharpest color screen on the market. It also plays the regular Turbo Graphics cards. With the TV tuner, you've got one complete system.
Which it never came with,
Yeah,
right? So you can even see the difference here. Like the Turbo Express, this is USD, $200 compared to the Game Gear that's 99, the Game Boy that's 89, and the Lynx that's 99. So it's $100 more for a system that's already dying.
yeah. And let's
you know what I
face it,
mean? It's
Turbo
rough.
Graphics did not have the greatest library of games to begin with. And I mean, there are some games I absolutely love on Turbo Graphics, but I'm just saying.
Well, that's the same thing that happened with Atari, though, right?
Yeah.
It's you're putting 90% of your games are developed in-house through Hudson Soft.
Yeah.
They're only so big; they only have so many game devs. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And without third-party support, and a lot of that was due to Nintendo being so shrewd.
Yeah.
So if you had a game that was on the NES, it couldn't be the same game on any other console. So then, if Konami, say, wanted to release Castlevania on the Turbo, they would have to do a new game from the ground up.
Yeah, which is a lot of time and money invested.
Yeah, I wish I had it too, Cutthroat. It's the Turbo Express is an amazing piece of history. And let me tell you, if you would have had that as a kid or when we were younger, you would have been the coolest dude on the block because this thing also had a TV tuner. And like EGM says, it had by far the best screen, right?
Yeah. And, and the fact that you could play your console games on it, big deal. That was a huge deal.
Sega would do that in 1995 with the Nomad portable machine, the successor to the Game Gear. But I mean, to release a Genesis portable in 95, it didn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Okay, we're going to take a little quick break here. I'm going to grab a drink. Grab yourself a drink, guys. We're going to take a washroom break, and we will be back. Let's do, what should we share here? Let's share a video. Or on break. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. Den and I will be back in just a couple minutes. In 1989, my friend Darren received this game for a birthday gift. Now, Darren is a hardcore gamer, so it's fitting that he got this game. Darren would stay up all night playing Super Mario Brothers, not giving up, trying to figure out a way to get to Bowser and defeat him. Darren would also tirelessly play Ghosts and Goblins over and over again, not getting discouraged until he finished the game. Darren was my first true gaming hero. We played Ninja Gaiden relentlessly, both of us being huge fans of ninja movies and myself being obsessed with the G.I. Joe character Storm Shadow. This was our game. Martial arts in mainstream pop culture was dominant in the 1980s, and if you're a Gen Xer like me, you absolutely loved it. Video game wise, we had incredible arcade titles like Shinobi by Sega, Ninja Spirit by Irem, and Double Dragon by Technos of Japan. Ninja Gaiden was created by Tecmo, a Japanese game developer best known for Bomb Jack, Rygar, and of course, Tecmo Bowl. Arcades were at an all-time high, and games like Double Dragon were at the forefront. With the ninja theme becoming more and more popular, and the home console market now booming in North America thanks to the Nintendo Entertainment System, rather than releasing one game for the arcade or one game for the NES, Tecmo decided to develop two separate games with the same title, developed by two separate teams. The arcade version would be modeled after the popular beat-em-up genre, following titles like Double Dragon and Bad Dudes. While on the NES, Tecmo went with a different approach. Tecmo wanted to make sure the game wouldn't be a throwaway, it had value, and that the player wouldn't finish it quickly. Ninja Gaiden for the NES was written and directed by Hideo Yoshizawa. Prior to Ninja Gaiden, Yoshizawa directed Mighty Bomb Jack. After, he went on to write and direct Ninja Gaiden 2, The Dark Sword of Chaos, produced Ninja Gaiden 3, The Ancient Ship of Doom, and wrote and directed Clona for the PlayStation 1. Masato Kato was the artist on Ninja Gaiden. He would later move on to become one of the writers for Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo and Xenogears for the PlayStation 1. He would also direct Chrono Cross for the PlayStation and become one of the lead writers on the huge MMO Final Fantasy XI. The composers for Ninja Gaiden were Keiji Yamagishi and Ryuichi Nitta. With Tecmo's request of not having the game be a throwaway, Yoshizawa was tasked with making a game with a higher difficulty level. He took inspiration from the insanely successful Shigeru Miyamoto game Super Mario Bros. When creating Ninja Gaiden. Tecmo wanted to go head-to-head with their competitors Capcom and Konami, and create a game similar to Ghosts and Goblins and Castlevania for the NES. Yoshizawa took that a step further by expanding the story and creating cinematics dubbed Tecmo Theater, which had not yet been seen in an NES game. Yoshizawa always wanted to be a filmmaker, and this was his chance to, and I quote, put on a movie somehow. By doing so, it would give the player more of a connection to the protagonist, Ryu Hayabusa, and let the player feel the weight and gravity of the story. Ninja Gaiden was released for the Famicom in December of 1988, and over here in North America, released in March of 1989. The game itself is remembered for its razor-sharp gameplay, insane difficulty, deep compelling story, and its killer soundtrack. The game opens with a beautiful moonlit night. Two shadowy figures square off against each other in a duel. Blades clash. One remains standing. This opening cinematic blew me away, and up until this point, I'd never seen anything so cool.
All right.
That was part of my History of Ninja Gaiden video that's on my channel right now. You guys can check it out. Really enjoying doing the history ofs for you guys. Started writing my new one right here, so that should be out as soon as I possibly can. All right, let's get this. There we go. We're back, and we'll bring Den back. There we go.
Right. Cutthroat was asking if Chrono Cross was any good. It was an amazing game. It's I would say that it is a sequel to Chrono Trigger, very much in a spiritual sense, very different, but amazing music, great cinematics. I highly recommend checking it out on PlayStation.
Hey, Chris, good to see you come in. How you doing? And Curb Stomp is here. Welcome, guys.
Yeah. I love that Ninja Gaiden video.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Oh, here you go. Here you go. Here you go.
Dino City.
Oh, there's Steve, Ed, Martin, and Sushi X. Okay. Well, here's your ratings.
Yeah. I usually go with sushi, so.
Okay, you want to do sushi? I'll do Steve.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the EGM crew, guys, reviewing the systems, where they are now, their opinions as of the end of 1992. So this is really interesting. So this is Steve gives. I'm just trying to see how this is done. Okay, so Steve's all like this. Okay, so Steve gives the NES a 4. It says the video game workhorse is showing its age by not showing many new titles. The emphasis is on 16-bit now, and without the flow of hot cards to support it, you call it a day.
Gotta agree with Steve. You know, this was I think this 92 I think was about the end of the NES. When we started,
we got Bonk in 93. We got Little Samson.
Oh, right.
I mean, great games, yes, but they went under the radar because, like you said, yeah, everyone was just onto, I guess, bigger and better things, quote, right?
Yeah. And Raj, absolutely, the Ninja Gaiden music gives me goosebumps as well. Just hearing that music. I'm back in my friend's living room. Usually swearing at the console.
It's incredible. Yeah. Splatterhouse has a great soundtrack. All the 4 histories I've done, I've loved the music. Mega Man 2 is like, you don't even have to say anything about that.
Yeah.
Just great stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, moving on.
Okay, Sushi X. About the best thing I can say about the NES is that it has a huge library of software for the money. 8-bit gaming just doesn't compare to rock solid 16-bit power. RIP.
Well, you know what? Since we got about 30 viewers, I think let's do the giveaway now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we are giving away a copy of Neo 2 on the PS4, thanks to one of our sponsors at Game Cycle. Okay, so this will be sent out. Real easy trivia, guys. How we do it is I ask the question. You just type once in the chat, and if you have the right answer, then we do a random roll. It's the only fair way to do it on a stream that I found. Okay, so then we do a roll with a random D20, and we pick the winner. Simple as that. This one's going to be real easy, so hopefully you've been here for most of the stream, but this is the year in review for 1992 by Electronic Gaming Monthly. So the question is, what did EGM give Game of the Year in 1992? So just type one answer in the chat. I'll only count your first answer if you type multiple. What did EGM give Game of the Year for 1992? Oh, that's some good coffee, man. I'm telling you. So the first coffee, always the best. The second coffee never quite gets there, Den. That third one, baby. Oh, yeah. I could feel the kickstart. We're good. Yeah. What did EGM give Game of the Year in 1992? And here's the question for a copy of Neo 2 from our pals at Game Cycle. All I ask in return, please give them a sub on YouTube, guys, and make sure you follow them on socials, Instagram, Facebook, all that other stuff.
Yeah. And Josh said, me, Jay, Den, and Walk just watched 8-Bit Christmas, and they played a bunch of different games on NES with no controllers plugged in, including the NES Zapper.
Right.
Right.
Give it a couple more seconds. So Josh, two there. We can't count that second one, my friend. Yeah, we'll cut it off here at Raj. The answer is Street Fighter 2 is what they gave Game of the Year. So we'll do a random for everyone who put in Street Fighter 2. We'll do a random. My D20 app here I have on the old phone. And good luck to all of you who said 1992. And that's real easy. The number is 2. So that would be 1, 2. According to my calculations on the screen here, the winner is Batstan. Congratulations, my friend.
Congrats, Batstan. A winner is you.
Oops. I'm just writing it down here. Hang on.
After the holidays, there's going to be quite the Canada Post trip for you.
Like I said, I still have a few going out from the 30K. The 30K giveaway, yeah, because it's been a hell of a postal strike in Canada. Congrats, Batstan. You got a couple. What else did you win here? I got my list.
And you're coming up on 50K soon.
Oh, yeah. Batstan, you won Lego DC Superheroes, the Lego Batman. That's right, for the Wii. Congrats, buddy. So those will be out shortly after Christmas. I'll start sending out all the packages to you guys. Vicman, how are you?
Hey, Vicman.
And we're moving on. This is EGM, and we got one more. So we got one more giveaway tomorrow. And tomorrow, I've saved the best for last. Okay. So 9 a.m. Eastern, we are streaming Mega Man 2. And the final game of the 12 days of gaming will be given away during that stream. So make sure you tune in and have some fun with Mega Man with us. It's going to be awesome. Okay. The Super Nintendo. Oh, who gave it an 8? Ed the hater. Ed the hater. But Steve gives the Super Nintendo overall a 9. The games are better, and the machine has only scratched the surface with a variety of upgrades, chips on the way, and the best titles. This is the system of the 90s. Pretty bold statement. Pretty bold statement.
Yeah, but Sushi can top it. All hail the Super NES. That's a pretty bold statement right there. It has emerged as the 16-bit gaming leader now that it has overcome the plague of slowdown. That's not bad for 2 generations of games.
Not bad. Moving on to the Master System. Looking a little bleak. And you know what? I'm sorry. I have no sympathy for this machine. I just don't. I think it's cool to have a Master System, like if you're a collector, but there's a handful of games that are really important on it. That's just my opinion, right? But I don't blame these scores here. 2. Why are we even talking about this system? Steve says. Sega isn't supporting it, and neither should players. Sure, it isn't expensive, but it also doesn't play many good games. 2. Brutal.
Ooh. Sushi's a little more forgiving. Let's face it, the Master System doesn't have the huge library of games like the NES, and it never will. I'd rather have a Game Gear and a Master Gear converter. Ouch.
Oh, he means the power-based converter, but that's okay. Yeah, so you could get something called a power-based converter, which just goes on top of the Genesis and allows you to play Master System games. And it's a peripheral made by Sega.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like, if you need Master Systems, you can get that for even cheaper. K-Mac, thank you. Happy Sunday, man. Genesis gets all 8s. Interesting. So Steve says, the Genesis is still a strong machine, especially in the sports department. Nevertheless, the machine is reaching its full potential despite new carts from Konami. Okay, fair, fair.
Yeah. Sushi pretty much agrees. With a surprising lack in powerful titles, the Genesis has fallen back a notch to number 2 in my book. Sonic 2 may revive it somewhat, but it's too little too late. Wait till next year.
Come on.
Ooh, sushi.
A little unforgiving. A Turbo.
Yeah.
The Turbo Graphics gets a 6 from Steve in the year 1992. Steve says this system scores some points as a valid low-priced machine with new games around the corner and CD-ROM possibilities. If you're strapped for cash, this is the one. See, that's never good.
That's never a good thing to hear.
The Turbo Graphics came out, and it was more on the high end. It was an elite system. Everything for the Turbo Graphics was expensive, and it was high end.
Yeah.
So now to see it at this lower price point, it's just not good. It's just not.
And then you've got their portable system, which is, awesome from what we've heard.
Right.
But it's so much more expensive than the others.
Right.
So you've got a cheap home console, but an expensive handheld. Not a good sign, people. Okay. Boy, Cutthroat's really going to hate sushi. Turbo who? With the passing of NEC in favor of TTI, I'll expect some great things in the future of the crippled TurboGrafx 16. Until then, the Turbo is on thin ice.
Oliver says, Jay, when you played Street Fighter 2 in the arcades, who among the playable characters with the best ending you favored the most? Mine was Guile and Blanca. Guile was my character for sure. Yeah, up until and when Alpha came out, I preferred Charlie. He was more or less the same. He's just thicker. And then Vega when Champion Edition came out. Those 3 characters. Yeah. We are on the Neo Geo. So Steve gives it a 7. Oh, I can't see the bottom. There we go. The major superpower of the game systems, the Neo Geo, is plagued with the same high-priced softs that have always limited its market. It still has some of the hottest games. I feel like there was more to be said there, but they ran out of room.
That is the one downside to this format is you're getting sound bites. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure these guys could write like pages about each one.
Yeah, the Neo Geo is such a great system, but yeah, ultimately, we talk about in the toy community as of the last year, like prices just being out of control and a lot of us backing off because the prices are so crazy.
Yeah.
As great as the Neo Geo is, it's plagued with the same kind of thing where sure, there's a lot of great stuff, but you can't pay that like $200 for a game.
Yeah, I mean, I remember playing Fatal Fury 1 through 3 on a local arcade.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would have loved to have those games in my home.
Sure.
But there was no way I was going to be able to make that money.
Yeah, I mean, the person that would have a Neo Geo is the same kind of person in the 90s who would have collected arcade cabinets. Like a person who was well off, for sure. I mean, the Neo Geo is not anything anyone our age would have had. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, if you know somebody who had one. But, yeah, I mean, I always wanted one, that's for sure. But
yeah. Okay, Sushi. All year I've been treated to high prices, boring endings, and gasp, tons of flicker and slowdown. What happened? Where is the supposed 24-bit power? This is a no-go. 6.
Chris says not me. Yeah. We wish, but
look, when we were kids, yeah. But
we're moving on to the Game Boy, which gets a 6 from Steve. Limited, you bet. But the Game Boy could still play a good game. The resolution and overall presentation get mixed reviews, but when the game's good, the machine is a hit. And I mean, realistically, that goes for any console. The console can paint your house, can do all these things, can wash your car for you. But if you don't have any good games for it,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't play systems, you play games. So, oh my God, Sushi hates this thing.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we've known Sushi's never been a Game Boy fan.
Yeah.
Why is this system still on the market? It's a completely defunct. It is completely defunct with about 1 or 2 playable titles per year. A large library of games, which all blur, doesn't save this relic. Ooh, Sushi.
The Atari Lynx gets a 5. Still a system that has plenty of power with no games to use it. The Lynx has made strides in the number of softs available, but the quality remains B+ at best. B+ at best. No standout hits. That's Atari, like I said about an hour ago. Yep. That's Atari's main problem, and they had that problem with the Jaguar too. It's just you can't create hardware and then be the only developer. You can't, and compete with other consoles that have tons of third-party support. You just can't.
It's impossible, and I find it funny now that we see companies that make hardware like Sony and Microsoft buying up these third-party developers, and they're going to put themselves in that exact same problem.
Well, the one difference is you now have companies that have entered the ring that have unlimited money regardless of what happens. True. So that's when Microsoft came in 2001, that changed everything. Then there goes Sega. Sega has no chance. Do you know what I mean? And Nintendo is here because of their characters.
Yeah.
But it got rid of all that. And I mean, it's good and bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad because no matter how much Xbox or whoever fails at what they do, they will always be here.
Yeah.
They will always be here because
it doesn't matter if they're running at a loss or anything, because you've got Microsoft backing you. You've got Sony backing you. They're not going to let their consoles die. Meanwhile, in Nintendo land, they're creating amazing games with their own internal developers.
Well, that's the big difference between them and the others.
Yeah.
Is their IPs, and that's been that way pretty much forever. But when they stopped competing hardware-wise with the Wii, it was the smartest move they did.
Yeah. Hey, Freddie Mercury is here.
What's up, buddy? Long time no see. Happy Sunday.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Sushi X. The Lynx has a few more titles and a growing number of supporters. The software, with a little more tweaking, could skyrocket the Lynx past the Game Gear in the future. Don't hold that breath, Sushi.
And the Game Gear itself gets a 4 from Steve. If you really can't live without Sega 8-bit games, then the Game Gear is right up your alley. Personally, I'm not impressed with the system, although Sonic on the go is fun.
Sushi really is the hipster, isn't he?
Yeah.
Now that the Game Gear has some cool games and access to most of the Master System titles, the Game Gear has become the popular system of choice. I greatly disagree with that statement.
The portable system of choice.
Yeah, portable system. But I still greatly disagree with that statement. Because I didn't know anybody who had it.
Yeah. The Turbo Express 6. A cool little unit that is strapped by the lack of good softs for the base unit. As a TV and big ticket machine, this system is a winner. The games, however, aren't up to snuff.
Yeah.
It's true. And this thing drained, well, they all ate batteries, but this did too, especially when you put the TV tuner on, right?
Oh, yeah. It's like, look, if you're going to have a TV tuner on this thing, you're going to need a wall socket. And then it's just a television, a really small television. The Turbo Express is the result of excellent hardware coupled with mediocre software. With added support of TTI, It may emerge as the victor of the portable wars in 1993.
Vickman says sushi is the classic guy that goes against the trend and fails.
In a lot of cases, absolutely, I will agree with that.
I mean, it's really funny now to look back at history and look what these guys are giving the Sega CD.
Yeah.
The Sega CD, it's important for its time,
Yeah.
but I think there were other CD-ROM systems that far surpassed it. I think this was just the first one out of the gate.
Yeah. I will say that I do wish I had a Turbo Express.
Oh, so do I. That boxed one I saw in Toronto, man.
Oh, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, I would probably be snagging that.
The Sega CD gets an 8 from Steve. As a CD-ROM player, the Sega machine is top-notch. The games that it plays, however, have become a bigger problem. While a few blew me away, the rest are pretty tame for the dollars, and yet it still gets an 8? That's interesting. That's a pretty high score, man.
Especially
for what you said about it.
Yeah. Awesome. The Sega CD really packs a powerful punch. Not only does it upgrade the Genesis capabilities, it starts off again with no 16-bit contender to battle. Yeah.
The Turbo Duo. Now, once NEC wanted nothing to do with the Turbo graphics, everything got signed off to Hudson. They rebranded to Turbo Technologies Incorporated and continued. And again, I've said this before, I don't understand why these companies who are struggling to survive take their in-house development dollars and use it to create a brand new system. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess they're trying to put the CD-ROM and the Hue card together, but it's just so much money.
It is. And
so much money to do that.
And I know that they're kind of viewing it as like Nintendo doubling down back in the day when it first came out, you know. But the risk at that point, if I were involved in it, I'd be like, look, we've got how many other hardware companies vying for developers? If we're the only ones making games for this, we are not going to survive.
7 from Steve. Not a bad stab at an all-in-one machine. The cartridge CD hybrid suffers from the same problems as the Turbo, but it's a sleek unit with Super CD. Hope for the future.
Yeah. And Josh, when we went to Toronto Game Expo, that Turbo complete in box was $1,500, which is still a good deal in my opinion. Absolutely.
Yeah, Josh. Will and I saw one at Brody's Loose for $1,000 for 1K. So 500 for the box. Yeah, it's absolutely worth it. But I mean, dude, like you never see that box. You never see the unit, at least around here, and to see one in the box. But that's that same guy that had the CDX. You don't see that too often either.
Yeah. The CD wars are about to begin, and the first battle was initiated by the Turbo Duo. Still, it's nothing more than a Turbo Graphics with its outdated CD attachment. Hooray.
Jeez. Holy.
Wow. And the CD wars haven't really begun yet. Wait a few years.
CD, the future of gaming. So we're going to, I know anyone sees anything that you want to talk about, please feel free. We're not going to continue to read the articles.
Yeah.
On the CD, although I would love to spend time on all this, but yeah, we're going to keep moving here.
I did see that they've got a shot of Sewer Shark.
Oh yeah, there's your Sewer Shark, yeah. And these were all VHS games that were recorded. I can't remember what the VHS system. Does anyone in chat remember this thing? That's where all the digital pictures bought all of these, which included Sewer Shark, Night Trap, Corpse Killer, all that stuff. And then they put them on CD-ROMs and turned them into video games. But they used to be like these VCR interactive games.
Okay, I just saw an ad. You'll notice it. I'm sure.
Oh, look! What is this? When you buy the best, Winner is in your hands. Oh my God, we've got a new awful peripherals, guys.
And not only that, the company's name is STD.
Oh, it is STD Entertainment. Oh my God, like you can't rate this stuff, man. Oh, Vickman's asking, someone is selling me a Sega CD. Is it worth it? Well, if you want to disclose what they're asking, you don't have to. I can tell you. And is it version 1 or 2? And like, does it work? I guess
Yeah.
it's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Look at these awful. Look at this thing. Look at the. Look what. Oh, what is this? The world of STD. Jay does not want STD for Christmas. What?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I got a new controller. Oh yeah? Yeah, I got an STD.
Oh my God. What does that even stand for? I'm trying to look for what it stands for. Smarter, faster. No, there's no F in there. So what is it? What are these things on the bottom? Another, like, stop giving us flight sticks. Nobody wants them. Stop it. Stop it. This company, Matt's called STD. Moxley says game herps.
Pretty much. Oh my God. And not only that, but later on they released oh Lord. They released a peripheral called the Handy Boy.
Oh. This is kind of cool. The review crew. I think this is everything they did. What is this? Here it is, a complete list of every game that has been reviewed in EGM. That's amazing.
Wow.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And they broke it down by system.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. That's a lot of work for those guys.
That is. And the first game, of course, that I look upon is Narc, which honestly, that game is so good.
Page 49, kick some balls. What's going on here in this issue? Is everyone all right? These friggin' ads, man.
Yeah. Between STD and kick some balls.
Brain transplant, $39.99. What the? Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? We haven't seen anything yet. And I know the STD game company is not supposed to be a joke, but you guys know, like, we've all lived through the 90s gaming, and the friggin' ads of the 90s are so risque. We're going to be seeing, like, a lot of pretty funny stuff coming up soon.
Yeah. Oh my God, there was actually a lawsuit between ASCII Corp and STD.
Yeah.
In '94.
And
apparently STD does not mean anything. It's just STD.
Did I read that wrong? No, I read it right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. So these are, I think, just some of their favorite games that they're going through throughout the year. Contra 3. What was another one? Pit Fighter. That was an awful translation on any home console. I'm sorry. That game's terrible. It's terrible.
It really is.
Contra 3. Yeah, that game's hard as lips, that one.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic game, of course, but very, very difficult.
I will say this. I don't think any Contra game is easy.
Yeah, especially, I mean, with Contra and with Super C on NES, if you don't put in the code, I have done it. Like when I was way younger, I did do it with 3 men. You do get extra lives through points, but
yeah.
John of War says Pit Fighter Super Nintendo was the current worst fighting game on Matt McMuscle series. Oh, dude, that game in general. Like, I'm so glad that I know it's like the first full motion video game, but I'm glad that Mortal Kombat 1 is known for that and not Pit Fighter. Technically, though, Pit Fighter is, I think, the first, but Mortal Kombat is known for it. Thank God. Because I love my digitized graphics, and I would hate for Pit Fighter to be brought up in conversations all the time, because even the arcade game is awful. It's awful.
I love how if you subscribe, you got a free in-your-face EGM shirt. Like, this is the 90s, the beginning of that extreme era.
Yeah. Like, remember Sega? Like, Sega!
Yeah.
They would, like, yell at you.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
God,
I'm
what are you
sure.
yelling at? And all the quick cuts and all that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's well, that starts happening soon, but I remember, like, PlayStation 1 was really,
Yeah.
the
And then they
PlayStation
started
had
doing
to.
those really bizarre ads with like Crash Bandicoot guy in the.
That guy was hilarious, man, where you could, like, see
Oh
his
yeah.
face and the mouth. So
Yeah.
good. Who doesn't remember the awesome game Rival Turf by Jellico? I think this game is actually on the Switch online. I think we played
Really?
it during one of the Switch days. Yeah. It's awful.
It's awful. Yeah.
But it's getting a spread in here because I guess they got to fill the rest of the
The
magazine,
issue
right?
somewhere. Yeah.
What is this? Now gamers can go where they've never gone before, to their friend's house. Teleplay System by Baton. We're on 74, Den.
Yeah. I'm looking at that.
Look at this. This is like what, early internet?
Yeah. This would be like early LAN.
24. What's BPS? 2400 BPS speed.
Bits per second.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Virtually simultaneous interaction between players. Offers intense head-to-head competition with mind-boggling hidden perspectives. What the hell does that mean? They're just using fancy words to confuse people. What does that even mean?
Yeah. Developed for use by both the NES and the Sega Genesis system. Cross-format competition is finally possible.
John, did you? I can't remember if you played WoW or not. Do you remember the Burning Crusade trailer that would be playing at EB 24/7? Remember Illidan was like, "You are not prepared." I'm just saying that stuff was awesome. It was a good trailer. We got some more Street Fighter goodness, and again, I think this is rehashes. I think
this is a rehash. They did this guide.
Yeah. But look at the original artwork that we have here. We see Ryu training, and we got Ken and his girlfriend. That's cool, man.
Chun-Li looks like she's missing half her face on the next page.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Beatles Rock Band trailer. Yes. Yes. Do you know the one I remember the most, John, is the American Idol for PS2 trailer. That's when I was at Westmount back then. Oh, my God. Because the loop tape was what, like 10 minutes long, 15 minutes long? Maybe longer. I don't know. But that American Idol trailer is burned in my brain. I remember when they started doing their own commercials, dude. Oh, so embarrassing.
I still, to this day, there is one song that still gives me a nervous twitch, and that's the Animal Song by Savage Garden, because it was on a loop tape at Rogers Video, and every 20 minutes for an 8-hour shift.
Yeah. Yeah, John. Sometimes, yeah, they were like 5 minutes. Dude, when I started there, our loop tapes came on VHS. And this was in like 2003 when it should have been upgraded to DVD.
Yeah,
but anyway.
We still had loop tapes on VHS, yeah.
Super Adventure Island, fantastic series. Again, all this stuff that's here for the most part, guys, has been through the year in the EGMs we've already gone through. So we're kind of just going by it. But by all means, if you guys want to talk about any of this stuff,
yeah,
please feel free.
Oh, Stan. That's Stan. Ooh.
All I Want for Christmas by Mariah Carey really gets me as a Walmart manager. It's like every 5 minutes, it seems. Well, you're lucky, buddy, because she's in the Fortnite shop right now as we speak.
Yeah.
You can get your Mariah Carey Christmas skin.
Or just shoot people wearing the
Zelda 3. And I've said this before. I wish they kept the 3 instead of dropping that, but it's just a little minor thing. Our security cameras were still on VHS. Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And it was the same tape, John, too. Like, just rewind it and erase over. Like, the thing got taped over like 5 million times. Imagine the quality if you had to play it back.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you don't want to see anything because the cameras were already crap as it was.
Yeah. A few years back, I upgraded a company from VHS to actual like hard drive.
Right.
And that was in, I think, 2018.
Yeah, I mean, companies skip out on things that they don't think is important, but I don't want to get into too much about
Yeah.
EB, but yeah, it's just crazy to me that the old technology flew as long as it did there.
Cutthroat, did anyone eat the Batman Returns cereal back in the day? I didn't even know there was one.
John, I had issues where people would steal from the standalone stores, and the police would come and I'd replay it, and like I remember the one officer, he couldn't even we couldn't even tell what it was. It was just a blob because the VHS tape had been recorded over so many times, right? Because you rewind it at the end of the day. It's crazy, but that stuff is so important. But I should have just bought a new VHS tape for the store is what I should have done.
Mm,
But I didn't feel like it was up to me to do that, which it wasn't.
no.
Excuse me. Oh,
Terminator on Genesis.
anybody ever play this Terminator game by Virgin Games? I don't think I've ever played this. This is on the first Terminator.
I remember playing Terminator and Terminator 2 on NES.
Well, dude, like the thing would have been $5. You know how it is. They just didn't care. And I was like, well, why do I gotta spend $5? I could have just brought a VHS from home.
Yeah.
Pac-Man cereal, average gamer. Yeah, man.
I still remember the Nintendo cereal where you get two.
Oh yeah. There was the Pac-Man cereal, the Pac-Man Fever record. That was actually like a disco record, if you guys remember that. Terminator Super Nintendo was pretty awesome, hard as hell. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Golden Axe 2. I think I rented this. Golden Axe for me, like it just kind of was like more of the same. Whereas like Double Dragon and each version of Double Dragon added something new and changed something. Golden Axe, it was just right here. I'm just looking at color swaps.
Yeah.
Like if you look at this here, like it's all the same enemies, just different colors.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I mean, that's exactly what it felt like. Like other companies were innovating and everything, and this was basically like a toy company releasing a repaint and the occasional new playset. Yeah.
Like even the three heroes are the same.
Yeah. And Stan, I do remember Donkey Kong had a cereal.
Yeah, this is great, by the way. I know we're skipping ahead, but once again, because we've gone through all this year, but I love how even as something as basic as like your side to side beat 'em up like Golden Axe 2, they still put out maps. And this was the kind of thing that it just made you want to sink your teeth into it, because there's just so much information. Even, like they're taking multiple screenshots on how to beat bosses and stuff like that. And I just found all that so fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been an expansion, John. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Raj says Golden Axe, my favorite retro game of all time. Well, have you played 2? You played Golden Axe 2?
Yes. And Cutthroat, yes, there were a lot of video game and movie serials and also toys. Movie toys, a lot of them.
I almost said Pac-Man Return of the Joker. That would be Batman Return of the Joker.
Which actually is a fun game.
Mega Man 4. 4 and 5 are probably the 2 Mega Mans I know the least. And 7 and 8 I played a little bit. 9 and 10, I remember they were both digital. I barely remember those. 11 I never played.
Yeah.
But
I remember pretending to be sick for a week to play Mega Man 5 that I rented.
Yeah, I definitely want to go through all of them again. I've had like a new appreciation for these games. Where back then I really feel like it was just too much oversaturation of Mega Man. I think there was just new, different ways to play games and new games coming out. So it's not that I didn't like them. I was just like, okay, another Mega Man. I know what to expect from this.
Yeah, like I've never played. I I think I played a little of Mega Man X, but I actually picked it up.
Yeah.
And I'm planning on jumping into it.
Well, Mega Man X, it was a different Mega Man, right? And it was also, I remember renting that because it was like, okay, Mega Man 16-bit. I think that came out before Mega Man 7, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mega Man looked completely different. And I'm like, all right, this is Mega Man for a new generation. It was pretty cool. One of my favorites. Here we go. Ninja Gaiden 3, The Ancient Ship of Doom. Hard as Lips.
Yep. Yeah, I'm actually going to be playing Mega Man X on the SNES I won from you.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
I might even stream it. I'll figure out a way.
Yeah. Ninja Gaiden 3, Gaiden, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever. Yeah, that was, again, another great game. The Japanese version, at least.
Jay, I heard there were some great Alien shooters and Terminator shooters in the arcades in the past. Yes.
Yes.
Midway's Terminator 2 with the two Uzis is pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Arcade games, Capcom's Alien vs. Predator is probably my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
You can be Dutch, and Dutch is like, it's like after Predator 1, so Dutch has lost an arm, so he has like a robot arm. And I can't remember the woman's name, but she's like the best. She has a samurai sword. Or you can be two different Predators. It's really good. It's a Konami Alien game too in the arcade. It's really awesome.
Yeah, and there is talk that there will be a new Golden Axe and a new Streets of Rage.
Oh yeah, that was from last year. I remember Sega had that trailer with all their old school games, and they were going to be relaunching a bunch of their old IPs, but I haven't seen anything since.
Yeah, I hope they do.
I want to show you guys this. Look at this. This is something that popped up in one of the EGMs a few months back, but Bonk 4, the role-playing game. This is something that was never released. And as like a Turbo fan, like this is amazing. I would love to see, there's got to be a prototype out there or something playable.
Oh, I would have snagged this in a heartbeat.
But this definitely never came out. Good morning, Destro. Good to see you, buddy. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Hope you're having a good day. You have the Genesis version of Ninja Gaiden. It plays like the arcade. Nice, dude. Falcon for the Turbo. For some reason, I have the instruction book for this game. I don't know why. Turtles 2 for the Game Boy. There's a lot of good games that came out in 1992. A lot.
Between the music and the games, good year.
The rumor is the next remake is Code Veronica. I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll see a Resident Evil next year because we haven't really seen anything. But if it's going by anything that Capcom has done over the last like 5 years, the next one should be an original game. So it should be 9.
Yeah.
And then we'll get a remake. But
yeah. And Dale, I do remember Revolution X. I used to play that game a lot in the arcade with my buddy.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Where you were like part of the underground fighting up against corporate.
Oh, thanks, dude.
Batman Returns.
Yeah, those history videos are by far my favorite that I've ever done. I've been on YouTube for 4 years. 2 years it was toys and then converted to the games. Out of all the video styles I've done, the history is definitely my favorite to do. So I'm glad you like it, man. There's more to come. I'm writing my next one right now.
Yeah. I love the history of videos like that. That first one, Little Samson, was amazing to me because you dug up details I had no idea about.
Well, yeah, my first one I had to go hipster, right? I had to go hipster style. Music is a weapon. Throwing CDs at guys. Oh, Revolution X, right?
Yeah,
John. Yeah, it's the Aerosmith one. Right.
Yeah, and it's great that you're doing these history videos. I know a lot of people I've shared them with because there's so little on the history of this industry.
Thanks, John. I very much appreciate that, dude.
There's so little that is available on YouTube like proper history.
Yeah, I mean, I've said, I would love to teach video game history for
You
like
should be involved with masterclass. Post your own masterclass on video game history.
Oh, that would be fun. It would be fun to do.
Yeah.
We get our reads from Retro Mags, wonderful site at retromags.com. They have preserved. They don't have a picture of all the magazines this time. They have preserved Game Players, Nintendo Power, Game Pro, EGM, Video Games and Computer Entertainment, Mega Play, PlayStation Magazine. The list goes on and on, but they have archived all of these historical pieces of data for us. So a shout out to Retro Mags once again.
Yeah, if it was about video games, in whatever part of the world, they've got scans of it.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Den of Geek for popping on this week and helping with the heavy lifting. Willie Lowe will be back as of the new year. So I know a lot of you guys are waiting for Will. I think he's streaming today on Twitch, but he'll be back on this show, and we'll be back out hunting for games too. We have one planned for In Town, which I think Josh is coming to as well at Game Cycle here. So that'll be fun. It'll be lots of fun. What do we got going on? Tomorrow is the 12th day of gaming, and we are streaming Mega Man 2. And we have one last giveaway from Game Cycle. So make sure you guys tune in. I know it's early, but I stream at 9. So come on in. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Den, you have anything you want to add? Anything you want to say?
Not really. I mean, we've been having awesome times. Game Cycle has hooked you up with some amazing giveaway items. They, I know that they're a wonderful sponsor and a lovely place that one day I hope to visit. And my bank account hopes I don't.
And again, if you guys, our other sponsor, the Game Store, if you guys do have games that you're looking to get rid of, you can do this via mailing them. Real easy process. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. But I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. Tomorrow is Mega Man. Then Christmas Eve, we are off. That'll be the end. And then Christmas Day, we're doing a Fortnite stream. So if you are a channel member and would like to get in on the Fortnite fun, and it's going to be a ton of fun. Ton of stuff planned for Christmas Day. That'll be 7 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah.
2 hours prior to that, I will be with Chad on his channel. I don't know what he has planned, but it will be awesome talking dollies. So make sure you guys, if you got nothing to do Christmas night, if you want to hang out with us, please feel free to do so.
Chad's always cool to watch. I love how he's always got an opinion. He's not afraid to voice it.
Oh, yeah. Chad is very outspoken, and he does not apologize for it, for sure.
I don't think anybody should ever apologize for their opinion.
I went to Brody's the other day, walked out with a PS2, Resident Evil 4, and Tony Hawk 3. Yeah, dude. There you go. Love it, man. I love it. That's awesome.
That is awesome. That is really cool.
All right, Dan, we will see you later. Thanks, man, for hanging out with us. Appreciate it.
Have happy holidays, everybody, and hopefully you get a lot of cool games.
That was our buddy Den of Geek coming in from the Millennium Falcon itself, and I don't know how he got that out of Ray's hands, but he managed to do so. Guys, real quick here, because there's a lot of us here, I want to say thank you so much for the support, just in general. I'm overwhelmed and very, very grateful for each and every one of you. I didn't think I'd be in this position. I didn't think the channel would change so much by doing the gaming stuff, but it really has. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for the support, the subscriptions, all the memberships, the super chats, and watching my content. So that being said, I will see you guys bright and early for Mega Man friggin' 2 in the morning. All right, my friends. Much love. Game Store is the hottest new online gaming store, hitting just in time for the holiday season. You can find their insane selection of miniature games, collectible card games, and board games at thegamestore.com. Currently, they're pushing their huge campaign on filling half their store with video games. And that means they are buying video games like crazy. Now, if you can't make it to their brick and mortar store, you can sell your games online buying with 3 easy steps. Step number 1. Send a list of the games you wish to sell at sales@thegamestore.com. Make sure you add if they're complete, working, non-working, or minty fresh. 2. You will receive a preliminary offer back that may change depending on further inspection. Once you have the offer, it's good for 3 days. All you have to do is reply back and accept it. Step 3. Finally, the game store will send you a prepaid label that you print out and you just ship your games to them. Upon inspection, verification, and acceptance of the price, they will send you the money any way you choose. Now that can be cash, check, PayPal, bottle caps, any way you choose. Get in on the ground floor and sell your games that are just sitting there collecting dust. And just remember, wherever you are, wherever you play, everyone shops at the games.